Hello, welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews. It's Gaming Friday. I'm Gary.
And I'm Ian.
And today we're taking a look at Red Dead Redemption, which came out in 2010 for the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360, developed and published by Rockstar.
Rockstar.
And of course, Rockstar, legacy of games leading up to the release of this one, that primarily being that of the Grand Theft Auto series.
Yeah.
And so Rockstar have essentially the forefathers, if you will, of open, or not the forefathers, but the masters of sandbox open world adventure games.
Ooh, you got both of them on here. I don't know which one to go for.
I've never actually played Undead Nightmare. I don't think I actually have it. So, try it.
I'm gonna try it.
Downloadable content. When did I get that?
I had no idea when you got it.
That's the thing. It's actually been more than 5 years since I played Red Dead Redemption. I admit that when the game came out, this was a day one purchase for me. I still have the game. I still have the giant map that came inside the game, which made me go, oh my god, this game is huge. And I played it through, and I must admit, I spent close to 60 or 80 hours just playing through the campaign.
Yes,
It was one of those games where I was like, that's the main storyline, that's great. But there's so many side characters and so many side missions to go and explore. The world of Red Dead Redemption is fantastic. And I always said it, but I was super excited for the game's release because I was a huge fan of the Western genre in films, and the games, they really suffered.
Yeah.
The most memorable I can think of is perhaps Gun, which came out just a few years before Red Dead Redemption. I was like, great, that sort of filled that gap in the market for a Western game.
Well,
and of course,
didn't Rockstar do Red Dead Revolver before this for the Xbox?
They did do Red Dead Revolver, which interestingly was a Capcom game. And Capcom just couldn't get it finished. And the company that was making it for Capcom were eventually brought out by Rockstar, which then turned that into Red Dead Revolver. Which came, I think it was back in 2004. And is also a third-person sort of action game.
Yeah.
Nowhere near on the scale as Redemption, which obviously came out 6 years later. And I was, as I said, I was super excited for this game, and said there was only Gun, and the others were perhaps Call of Juarez.
Yeah.
But they just fell short of being great. But I still enjoyed them because there wasn't much else to compare them to.
Yeah.
And when Red Dead Redemption was in development, Rockstar were making it, their backers or the financiers were just like, no, do not spend all this money on making a Western game. This will be the end of Rockstar. This will be the death of your company making this game. And what happened? This game blew the sales charts out of the water. It was the number one selling game. It shipped millions and millions of copies around the world and has gone down as being one of the greatest games ever made. Literally, somebody the other day asked me, what is your top 5 favorite, or what is the top 5 best games ever made across all platforms of all time? And some of the first ones I came up with was, BioShock, groundbreaking game for me. And Red Dead Redemption, I threw it in there. I was like, this game, I still remember it. Even though I haven't played it in nearly 5 years, and I didn't play all the DLC for the game, or pretty much any of the DLC for the game, I still remember the experience that I had with it. And that's all because of this one man right here, John Marston. Just one of the best lead characters, central protagonists in any game ever. And I also put that down to the voice actor, Rob Whitehoff, or Whitehoff?
Right.
My pronunciation of second name sometimes, but he does the voice for John Marston, and has retired from voice acting afterwards.
Wow.
So literally, it's a one-off. You'll never see that voice actor. You'll never see John Marston again, because he's gone back to live with his family, back to doing whatever job he was doing
Made
before.
enough money off of this.
Well, I should hope so. He's the central character and one of the most memorable characters in game history.
See for me, when a game has Rockstar developers on it, I'm kind of sold.
already.
You know,
It's a seal of approval, isn't
yeah,
it?
it's a seal of approval. You know, since the birth of the first Grand Theft Auto game, they were doing something different than everybody else. You know, you had this open world where you could go around, you could do whatever you wanted to. You had story missions, you had side missions, you had just, you know, special objectives and quests wherever you like, the kill frenzies in Grand Theft Auto. And leading up to Red Dead, you had all these great games. Grand Theft Auto 3 was fucking amazing when it first came out. Vice City was just as good.
San
Andreas
Oh
was
my God.
like the greatest game ever. And I sat there, I was like, how could they top San Andreas? You need to make another Grand Theft Auto game. And instead they bring out Red Dead Redemption. And I remember how excited you were at the time. You know, you were literally like blowing one off in my face, like, oh my God, Ian is West End tomorrow. And I'm sat there and I'm like, you don't play Rockstar games, do you?
I don't.
You
Well, I
play
did.
Grand Theft Auto.
I played Grand Theft Auto 1 on the PC, and I had the demo for Grand Theft Auto 2, which I played to death. And I never completed them. And I'll be honest, the Grand Theft Auto Vice City,
Yeah.
I got like 75% through the game, gave up on it. San Andreas, I got about 50-60% through the game, and before I kind of gave up on it and went elsewhere.
Yeah.
Is it Grand Theft Auto 4?
Yeah, that was back in Liberty City.
I played that one for about 20 hours, and I was sick of it. I was like, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm going back to Saints Row. Fuck you, Grand Theft. I'm done.
Yeah.
But then, obviously, Grand Theft Auto 5 has come out. And again, that was one of those games where I was like, I'm not going to buy it. But I did.
And I think this is the benchmark for Red Dead Redemption, because, you know, they were able to do so much more with the background. You know, the details on the trees, the sand, the mountains. You know, you can see a lot of the stuff they learned in this and perfected in this. They took back to Grand Theft Auto 5. You know, with all the Mount Chiliad and the beaches and all that kind of stuff. I mean, this is just your start. You're just like, oh, okay, right, go to the saloon. Oh, go to the saloon. But you're a cowboy. You're a cowboy. You know, can I pull out my guns? Just yeah, I can. I can pull out. I got my golden guns. Ooh. I'm just gonna walk around, put my gun back, and you're just in the Old West.
You are in this world, and of course, this game covers some of the US and goes into Mexico at about the halfway point throughout the game, and you play, obviously this is an open world Western action adventure where you play a former outlaw who's gone straight. And that is pretty much the gist of it. But what this game does is incorporates elements of racism, deals with issues of immigration.
Look at that drunk guy. I just watched that drunk guy just fall over.
Well, that's one of the great things, as we said, with Rockstar, is the world building. It's the ambience. It's the characters that fill the world and how lifelike they are. And one of the big problems I have with like some of the old Bethesda games, like Skyrim or Fallout, is that the characters in those worlds sort of sit in empty rooms and do nothing. Or they just stand and walk around. They don't really interact with their environments.
Yes.
This game was one of the first ones where I got a sense of that all of the people inhabiting these towns, even though they're on scripted NPC actions, they felt like they were characters almost.
Yeah.
And of course, what makes this game also just as great, and like a lot of Rockstars, is how cinematic everything looks and feels, from all of the small encounters right through to the big gripping climax of the story. All of the characters and all of the beats just feel film-like. And so the visuals for the game, I mean, just looking at this now, doesn't look like a 6-year-old game. I know we're playing it now. It's now thankfully become backwards compatible on next generation platforms. That guy got so excited, he's fallen through the planks of wood.
Yeah, that's how big this game is. People kicked up a fuss to say we want this backward compatible.
Absolutely, well, it's understandable. I think it's still played.
Yeah, and obviously this came out at the same time. You know, backward compatibility came at the same time people were like, oh my God, I've just seen the trailer for Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh, yes.
And you're like,
that was a huge reveal. It's unfortunate that information about Red Dead 2 sort of leaked out before their big reveal.
Yeah.
Or their trailer. And again, their trailer for Red Dead Redemption 2 looks beautiful. Again, going for that cinematic look. what's interesting about this game is that it's a self-contained story, and I don't think Red Dead 2 is going to be a continuation of this story.
No.
Mainly because this game is, as you can see by the railroad and the train being there, this is the end of the Western sort of cowboys and Indians genre as we know it. When the railroad was built from the east to the west coast,
Yeah.
that was it. The outlaws were done for as the law enforcement in cities and communities built up along that railroad essentially. And it was the death of this age of outlaw gunmen.
Yeah, I mean the detail is amazing. I mean, looking at the sunset, that sets you into the west. I mean,
Absolutely.
the glare of the sun, the color of the clouds, the turning of day to night.
Yeah.
More animals come out at night time. You can go hunting in this game. I remember after a while, I didn't actually complete this game. Like, I always kind of kick myself for it. Like, you need to complete Red Dead Redemption.
Simply because, I was going to get to it later, I'm going to say it now, if you haven't completed it, this game's ending goes down in my memory as one of the strongest, most poignant, most memorable endings to a video game ever.
Yeah.
It took my breath away. I was so surprised that they had the balls to go through with what they did and carry it out to perfection at the same time as really fitting the narrative and the genre that this game is based in.
Yeah.
Just fantastic.
But for me, I mean, I didn't stop playing. I didn't stop playing the campaign because I didn't like it. I stopped playing the campaign because I got distracted.
Well, that's what I
I
said.
got-
When
I got
the amount of time it
distracted.
took to finish the game with all the distractions, as you've said. Animal hunting.
Yeah.
That's a huge undertaking in this game because you have to go and hunt specific animals and then you try and find the legendary animal,
Yes.
which only turns up on very few specific parts of the map, which is huge, and also at the right time of day, which did leave a lot of time, I will say, waiting around in the bushes, hiding behind trees and rocks, waiting for that animal to appear, and then having to wait a long period of time or turning the game off, turning the game back on again, and hoping that it would reappear.
Yeah, yeah, but it meant that, I mean, with that, it's just like, well, how quickly do you want the legendary thing? I'll sit there for hours in a bush with my gun out, waiting for this animal to come. You may get bored after a while, but when you're invested into the character, into the game, you are hunting.
Yes.
You will just sit there. Oh, look, a rabbit, blam.
And
I hope that noise didn't scare off what I was just hunting.
yeah. And obviously everything that you can hunt, it does have a purpose. You can collect their skins in a pretty brutal repeated animation where he sort of guts them and takes their furs or their meat, which you can then sell back at different towns, and will enable you to upgrade your satchel so that you can carry more items.
Yeah.
You can upgrade and get better guns, and of course you can upgrade and get better outfits for John Marsden so that by the midpoint to the end of the game you can have sort of the duster coat and just look like your best favorite badass from the Western genre.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Though-
So other than the animal hunting,
Yeah.
there's a plethora of other side quests and activities to get distracted by. Some of them are side quests which you sort of have to do. And I'm going to say there's only one element of the game that I really didn't like too much, and that was herding the cattle. That was a real pain in the ass. Because you had to to ride big berths around the cattle and just keep aiming them and trying to get them all into their pen.
Yeah.
And you'd always get one freaking whatever
Yeah.
that would just be like, nope, I'm just going to veer off, not go through the gate and go running around the other side of the pen. So you'd have to chase it around and repeat the process. And then occasionally you had to herd the cattle whilst in a gunfight. And it was just, it just got a bit mental. And yeah, it fits the genre, as we've said, but it was a frustrating side mission. There was also horseshoe throwing, and I was a completionist. I like to go for all the achievements, and there was an achievement for throwing those goddamn horseshoes and beating certain players in the game, and oh my god, that was very stressful and time consuming.
I forget. Is it this or Rage that had the knife minigame? Where you had to do the knife between the fingers.
I think that was Rage.
Yeah,
Yes,
that was a badass minigame.
yeah.
But one of the things I was very surprised about, and it was new for Rockstar, I think, for bringing it in this game, was the multiplayer.
Yes, the open world online multiplayer. And my God, did that really, really get old too fast for me.
Really?
Really, because everyone was out to grief everyone else.
Yeah, I was one of those guys.
Yeah, I know you were. And you continued that right into Grand Theft
Grand Theft
Auto.
Auto
Yeah,
5.
exactly. It just seems like if you play a Rockstar game online, you are a twat.
It wasn't
Because
that.
well, maybe you're
in
not.
the
Sorry,
element.
you behave like a
Yeah,
twat.
you
Now I don't
behave
know
like a
whether
twat.
that's just because that's who you are, or it's just that when you play these games, the personality of the game makes you be a twat online to other players.
I remember going online and you weren't online. You were playing something else at the time. So I was riding around the map on my own because nobody else was online. And I remember if you had your headset on, you could hear people talking, but you had to be a certain distance on the map from them. I remember riding up to this area, hearing these people talk, coming over a hill, and down beneath me in this little valley was a railway line, and there was two groups of gangs who had met up for a gunfight. And they were just gonna do the old school style, their gangs were
Quick
gonna
draw.
stand up, quick draw, see who gets the killing. I stood up on the hillside with my rifle, and just as they were about to start shooting each other, I started shooting down at them. So they all started screaming and running, and I just started lobbing dynamite down towards them. And I could hear them through my headset screaming, "Who the hell shoot us? Go get him! Get on your horses!" And so me jumping then onto my horse and being chased by about 20 guys from two different gangs was absolutely amazing.
Well, that is it. The online portion of this game has created itself, or has been created, so that you can encounter have these scenarios play out for you that are totally unscripted and totally user created. It is everyone is partaking in this shared experience of the online Western simulator, and that was how it was advertised to me. I thought that this was going to be the greatest online experience I'd ever have and play, but for me it wasn't. I don't know whether it was the fact that I really wanted to role play in this Western setting,
yeah.
and whether I wanted to eat, live, and breathe in this Western world. But I found its limitations online quite apparent very early on, when you would try and form a posse of other players that would join your clan, your group, or whatever, but it was just impossible to exist in this world with other players because they would not try to talk things out peacefully, have negotiations. As soon as you saw another player online, it was a gun shooting match like you were playing Call of Duty Online. There was no sense of a world being built by its community. Whether that happened after I left the game or not, I don't know, but I never really got a sense of it. So what it became, the online portion of the game for me, was literally me and maybe one or two other people just farming the hunting of the legendary multiplayer animals, essentially, and just trying to level up and do certain things. There's like a horde mode where you defend towns and villages from ongoing bandit attacks. But the whole experience, unfortunately, it didn't last. It didn't last that long enough. I didn't really feel like I was developing a character I was playing online, because there was a bunch of preset skins. You could swap and change them out. I didn't feel attached to my online character like I did in the early days of Grand Theft Auto 5's online universe, where where I got a sense of that, where you get your homies, you have your houses, you go to each other's houses, you get in each other's cars. That really works. So that's what I'm really hoping for Red Dead Redemption 2.
I was about to say that. I mean, the multiplayer in this is not as good, I think, as Grand Theft Auto 5's multiplayer. And in Grand Theft Auto 5's multiplayer, you still have those same problem of gangs going around causing issues, people attacking you while you're shopping and blowing up your car and all that kind of stuff. But they have given the fact that in Grand Theft Auto 5, you can set it to a private server, so nobody can invade, and you can just invite your friends in.
But then that world becomes really quiet, and it becomes uneventful almost.
It does, but with the added features in GTA 5's multiplayer, where you can take missions from characters from the single player and go and do these missions, I think that will be a new thing for Red Dead Redemption 2, where yes, you go into a private server because you're having a bad day, you don't want to get shot that much, then you go to another town and somebody says, right, we want you to move these cows.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I need 2 other people. I'm going to call up my friends. I'm going to get them to join me in this server, and we're going to take these cows. And you then live, the 3 of you, like you would be back in the old West, walking along your houses. How long is it going to take us to get these cows to that area? Well, in game terms, it's going to take a couple of days. Oh, what the? All right, fine, okay. Look, just don't get distracted. Don't shoot any innocent farmhands. Don't do anything douche-like. I probably won't get invited, will I?
Probably not, no, Ian, because you are a terror. You go off script immediately.
I do. Look, I didn't walk around the fence. I climbed over it.
So there was still so many great and memorable moments in this game, and I really like the fact that you went on long horseback rides, and your other NPCs and characters continued conversation whilst you were going to your destination. Again, something very like Grand Theft Auto, where you're all in the car together and the characters banter back and forth. I absolutely love it. And so, other than the animal hunting, the herding, the poker games, which absolutely, I spent hours and hours just playing poker in this game, and in the various different areas to go, and all the different competitors that you went up against that had their different personalities. Yeah, really like the poker elements of the game. The treasure hunting was quite cool, where you got maps, or half-drawn treasure maps. You had to go and find the locations in the world map to try and guess where the treasure was. And of course, one of my favorite features about the game was bounty hunting.
Oh, yes.
When you go to a new town and you see the bounty boards and you see the posters, and it is either dead or alive, or wanted dead or wanted alive, to get the extra bounties. You go out there and you find them, you take down the other outlaws, you find your target, you kind of lasso them, tie them up, throw them on the back of your horse, take them back to the deputy, hand them over, get paid, go and take another bounty board. But you could also be quite dark, quite sinister, and almost be the villain and decide you're going to go into the local brothel, lasso up one of the wenches in there, tie them to the back of your horse, take them to the train tracks and lay them on the rail and wait for the train come.
I was about to say that. that was one of the first achievements I ever got, was to just lasso a woman, walked right into the saloon, lassoed her, chucked her on the train track and watched the train run her over, and I was just like, is that me? No, but I did it for the achievement. I'm just going to restart my save now, because I don't want it messing around with my stats.
That you're a stone cold killer.
I got to a point.
How many horses did you kill?
I killed a lot. I killed a lot of everything. And I suppose that after a while, that's why I kind of just dwindled away from it, because I wasn't going out there to carry on the game. I was just going out there to see how many towns I could destroy. So I'm going to ask you now, Ian, after all these years of coming back to it, how's riding the horse in this game? It's still a bit weird. I mean, walking's fine, and obviously if you hold A, you start to gallop, but I've got to remember to hit right bumper to stop him. Because if you don't hit right bumper, the horse will still just keep going, and you're turning a speeding horse.
Yeah.
So you've got to hit right bumper to brake.
To rein it in.
Yeah. Come on, jump over.
But what I've got to say is the animations for the horse they still look great.
Yes.
And when I first played this game, it was a case of, if they get the horse riding right, that's it. That was my big thing. I want them to get the horse riding right, because it's what you're going to be doing the majority of the game. Like in Grand Theft Auto, you don't really spend a lot of time running through the streets to get to your next mission.
Yeah.
You steal the nearest car and ride there like a maniac.
Yeah.
And so if they don't get that mechanic right, it's going to fail. And before Red Dead Redemption, there was very, very few games I can think of where you had to ride on horseback, Gun being one of them.
Yeah.
And I always felt that the horse riding animation in that was okay, just not quite right. There was a couple of other games, I think, that had horseback riding in it. I actually cannot remember the name of it right now. It was an open world sandbox RPG game.
Okay.
That did get a sequel. But it was very stilted and very jerky animations on the horseback. So getting the horse riding animations right in this game was top notch, and obviously that will continue henceforth. But getting that moment right, the rest of the gameplay, the gunplay, the sort of slow mo shooting all of the targets, going for headshot. Obviously Red Dead revolver style, just brilliant gunplay. It makes you feel like a Max Payne badass when you get into those gunfights. You feel like John Marston is invincible. Does the game have a harder difficulty setting?
No, I don't think so. I don't think you can change it.
I-
Like a lot of Rockstar games,
It's,
it's
one
just
difficulty
like one
that gets
difficulty.
harder and harder as the game goes on.
Yeah.
But you can sort of level up your character, get better weapons and better outfits. But it doesn't really. John Marston's not going to become a superhero by the end of
Yeah,
it.
there's no penalty to dying. I mean, it will
It's a
get
case of
annoying if you
replay the whole
just
mission.
replay that mission all over again, and you learn. I mean, that's what I always love about Rockstar games is that you may think you know what you're gonna get, but then as the game carries on, you are learning more and more through your character, through the game, that they are phenomenal games makers.
Yes, absolutely. And there's another thing that I want to bring up that this game does so well and is really also the backbone of the genre is the music.
Yes.
And this game borrows heavily from musical scores from all of the greatest Western films ever made. And what I love about this game is that the music is dynamically generated based on the situation. So like in Left 4 Dead,
Yeah.
where the music sort of ramps up when the action does and it calms down when it goes quiet.
Yeah.
This game is exactly the same with the music. The music will ebb and flow and change depending on the environment, the scenario, the enemies, and what's happening. And the music just really, really is the final icing on the cake, really, to this game, which just pulls you and pushes you into that universe, along with the voice acting, not only of John Marston, but of all of the rest of the cast in the game, just feels complete, almost to perfection, which is why this game is, and still is, one of the best games ever made, and I think it probably always will be.
Yes. Up until Red Dead Redemption 2.
Up until Red Dead Redemption 2, but, well, we will have to see, because it's got one hell of a legacy behind it now in
Yes.
order to live up to, with it technically being the third game in the series. I never really count Red Dead Revolver as part of the series. I don't know, it kind of seemed like it wasn't all of Rockstar. It was sort of half borrowed, half completed assets that was theirs, whereas this was all theirs. And what's to come next, I'm hugely excited for. It's going to be a day one purchase again.
Yeah.
Still, there's been a lull in the Western genre. Obviously, the Call of Juarez has ended up going modern day. There's not really been that many other Western games. This game has really defined it and owns it, and there's not that much competition for it either.
No, it's hard to compete with Rockstar.
No. Well, like I said, with 14 million units at least selling with this game, with its online support, with the Undead Nightmare expansion which came out, which it was at the time where every game was like, zombies. Let's put in zombies.
I think the only thing that annoys, I mean, Undead Nightmare is really good if you like cowboys and zombies, but the only thing that kind of jars me from it is that it is just completely dark and everything is zombified.
Yeah.
I'd like the world to have stayed the same, and the zombies to have just been a big threat that, you go to a town and you go, oh, they defended themselves. Oh, no, they're all dead.
Yeah.
Now you've got to defend yourself. But it's the fact that it's always dark. It seems to be always lightning and raining, and the feral zombies are running everywhere, and it's just no end. I only played it for a little bit, but then I just stopped.
Yeah. Well, that's a shame. I mean, like I said, I never even played the Undead Nightmare, as there were so many other zombie games at the time as well, and other games throwing zombie elements in there.
Yeah.
When I was done with Red Dead, I'd spent so much time on this game that by the time that DLC came out, it was time to move on to another game. But and thinking about going back to this game, it's like with Red Dead Redemption 2 coming out, is there any need to come back and play this game? Obviously there is, because the demand for it to come back, be backwards compatible, I think people still want to play this game or replay this game.
I think it's good for. I mean, not all games are good for kids, but
No.
Red Dead Redemption, it's got some bad elements in there, but come on, you were talking cowboys.
Yeah.
It wasn't all sunshines and rainbows back then. It was merciless. And so if you do have like a child who's looking for a game and you're a bit worried about giving them another Call of Duty or Gears of War, give them Red Dead Redemption and set them the task of complete the game. If you can complete the game, then the next game I'll buy you is what you'll ask for.
Well, the game only has some mild language. It doesn't really have that much nudity. Mm-hmm. I found some of the scenarios, slightly pulled in, slightly reined in, but it's still a solid experience. And I've not yet had the call, as I've said, to come back and play this game, despite there being a lull in the Western genre. But just watching this opening 30 minutes of the game again now, I'm just like, I could pick this up and play it. I could get reinvested in the John Marston character.
But you'd get distracted.
But, well, no, that's the thing now, as I'm going to say to people, as in my recommendation for the game, is it is very easy to go and get distracted, like it is with every sandbox game. But if you want a solid 20-hour experience, just play through the core storyline of the game. And it is, it's an entire series of your favorite Western tropes, all played out fantastically well within this game. So I thoroughly recommend Red Dead Redemption, and I think in 10 years' time, I'll still recommend Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah. I'm not going to save it.
No. Well, that's going to be... do you want to recommend the game, Ian?
I
mean, does it go without saying?
Yeah, it goes without saying. If you're a Rockstar fan, then buy it and play it. If not, then just wait for Red Dead Redemption 2. It'll be really, 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 really good. If you're playing Grand Theft Auto 5 at the moment and you're looking for another game to play, then knock out another Rockstar game. This one's the next one in line. Barring that, yeah, like I said, wait for Red Dead Redemption 2. This is what I do. This is what I do. I get distracted.
I can't watch it. I can't watch it. I'm watching that honor go down. No.
Yeah, just why? Oh, here comes the sheriff. He's shooting us, man. He's shooting us. What are we going to do?
Oh, now you've got your bounty. Your wanted level has begun.
Level. I'm going to kill everybody. Bang, motherfucker. Bang.
Well, I'm just going to say thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for listening. We're back next Friday with another video game. Of course, film reviews go up every Thursday. You can always find us on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Patreon. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you next time.
Die, die, die.
Goddamn lunatic, Marston. You're a lunatic.